is going on, sports fans? This is EBC Sports International. I'm Michael Hudson. We have an amazing episode for you today where we will be talking about some of the major topics in the world of sports. Before we start, I need to introduce to all of you our wonderful panel who will be joining me in today's show. First, from Vancouver, Canada, welcome back, Zsolti Horvath.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. It's been a while, which means chances are something controversial will probably come out of my mouth tonight, so stay tuned for that.
Ooh, I love the sound of that. Next, we have Mr. EJ Gonzalez joining us from Alexandria, Virginia. How are you, E?
What's up, Mike? Glad to be here, and I'm excited for Zsolti to be back because the past couple of weeks I had to pretend like I knew what I was talking about for football, and now he's here. So controversial or not, Zsolti, I'm glad you're back on the show so you can talk about football. Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot more accurately than I do.
I got you, bro. I got you.
Yes, and then last but not least, we have from Santa Rosa, Laguna, Philippines, our very own Ben Bernaldez.
What's up, guys? And welcome back, Zsolti. And it's going to be an exciting episode. And good news for the Rams. It's going to be an exciting season for them.
Oh, man, that is the worst thing I've heard all night. Sorry. But hey, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. And remember, in case you're brand new to the show, we are just a group of friends discussing sports, and by no means are we sports experts. And before we begin our main topics today, we have some updates to share with you all. So first, in the world of baseball, the Atlanta Braves won their first World Championship since 1995, defeating the Houston Astros in the series 4-2. Atlanta Braves first baseman Freddie Freeman said, "I'm still numb. I don't really have any emotions. I'm kind of trying to tell you guys things of how I feel because I don't really feel anything yet. It's going to hit hard soon. I don't know when. Maybe it's when we get to see everybody in Atlanta." And I end quote. The series clearly dominated, or the Braves clearly dominated the series, and it was pretty evident that most of the country wanted Atlanta to win because especially with the Houston Astros being disciplined for taking part in a cheating scandal just a few seasons ago. The Willie Mays World Series MVP went to Braves right fielder Jorge Soler, who had a total of 6 hits in the series, 3 of them being home run bombs. The parade celebration commenced earlier today and was actually held in 2 phases. The route began at the corner of Marietta Street Northwest and Peachtree Street and traveled north up Peachtree to 10th Street. And then the second phase of the parade continued through Cobb County on Cobb Parkway, beginning at the corner of Riverwood Parkway and culminating at Circle 75 Parkway. So congrats to the Atlanta Braves. Next, Zsolti has some NFL news for us. What do you have for us, Z?
All right, thanks, Mike. Well, Ken Cruz is not on the show tonight, but wherever he is, I'm sure he's smiling ear to ear as his Los Angeles Rams picked up a monster on defense before the trade deadline this Tuesday. Former Super Bowl MVP, 8-time Pro Bowl selection, and 3-time All-Pro Von Miller was traded to the Rams by the Denver Broncos. And what did the Broncos get in return? A 2022 second round and third round pick. That's it. The Rams basically stole one of the best linebackers in the game. He'll join what is already considered one of the best defenses in the league that includes tackle Aaron Donald and DB Jalen Ramsey. Miller had some fun with reporters while talking about the trade, saying, "I fell asleep 4-4 and I woke up 7-1. Speaking, of course, about the team's records. Other notable trades before the deadline: the Chiefs acquired linebacker Melvin Ingram from the Steelers for a 2022 6th-round pick, and the Jets acquired guard Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, little French-Canadian accent there. Tardif was a licensed medical doctor who took last season away from football to work at a hospital with COVID patients in his hometown in Quebec. Other news in the NFL: King Henry, aka Derrick Henry, underwent foot surgery on Tuesday after an injury in last week's game against the Colts. The star running back was leading the league in rushing yards with 937 and was almost a lock to win his 3rd straight rushing title, Although there's no official timetable for his return, some suggest it'll be between 8 and 10 weeks. In the meantime, the Titans have signed former MVP running back Adrian Peterson to their practice squad with the intention of promoting him to the active roster as a replacement to Henry. And just one more quick note from the busy NFL. Aaron Rodgers has tested positive for COVID-19 and will not play against the Chiefs this weekend. And after some controversy today on a sports talk show, Aaron's kind of unclear if Aaron Rodgers is vaccinated. So back to you, Mike.
Well, I can positively say that that was a huge blow to my fantasy team because Aaron Rodgers is my quarterback. So that is very bad news. But thanks, Jolty. I really appreciate it. Next, Ben will be sharing with us some big news coming from golf champion Yuka Saso. What do you have for us, Ben?
Thank you, Mike. And mixed emotions for Filipino fans, golf Filipino fans. Philippine Olympic Committee President, Representative Abraham Bambo Tolentino on Thursday thanked Yuka Saso for having represented the country in major global competition with a flourish and expressed belief that despite her decision to embrace Japanese citizenship, she remains a Filipino by heart. The Philippines lost a gem after reigning year's Women's Open champion Saso announced her decision to choose Japanese citizenship when she turns 22 on June 20th, 2023. Japanese laws allows its people with dual citizenship to choose their nationality when they turn 22. Saso was born to a Japanese father and a Filipino mother in San Ildefonso, Bulacan. Conforming to Japan's law, a dual citizen, and she has to choose her nationality by the time she reaches 22 years old. Saso previously competed in many international competitions under the banner of the Philippine flag. And in 2018, she won 2 gold medals at the Asian Games in Indonesia. And Saso finished 9th at the women's gold competition in recent 2020 Tokyo Olympics. The young Olympian later addressed her Filipino fans and thanked them for their respect and support. Some fans, they are happy for Saso, and this will be able for her to travel easier as a Japanese citizen because, as we all know, Japan and Singapore are the countries with the most powerful passports in the world. With no visas, and you can travel from around 192 countries. And the National Golf Association of the Philippines, meanwhile, said they were sad to see Saso go, but offered her well wishes. And good luck to Saso, and we're still rooting for her in many international competitions. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Ben. Really appreciate it. And last but not least, we have news coming from EJ, some NBA news. What do you have for us in NBA land, E?
Yeah, man, the Ben Simmons saga continues in Philadelphia. As we know, Ben Simmons, coming into the season, was adamant in not playing for the Sixers ever again. But after receiving about $2 million in fines for missing practices and games, Simmons eventually agreed to show face. But since his return, Simmons has told the team that he wasn't mentally ready to resume basketball activity, which temporarily ended the fines from the organization. However, now there are headlines being made about Ben Simmons' refusal to receive mental health help from the team doctors. Simmons is receiving treatment to his lingering back ailment from team doctors, but he's opting to continue to receive the professional help from the doctors he's been working with since the summer, which were provided by the MBPA regarding his mental health issues. The Sixers and Simmons relationship still seems far from resolved because Ben Simmons hasn't given any updates on his progress regarding his mental readiness, and he has just agreed to do so once he feels comfortable. Now, the Sixers have fined Simmons for his inability to provide basic details of his mental health meetings and evaluations, and for the refusal of speaking or having any consultations with specialists provided by the Sixers organization. The Sixers feel like they have been supportive of Simmons' situation, but are left with no choice but to continue fining him until he cooperates with team personnel on his mental health and other basketball-related obligations. Man, it's a messy situation, but we'll have to stick around and see how this all plays out. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, E. So that is all of the stories that we have for this week. But before we go into our main topics, we're going to be taking a quick break. And when we return, Scottie Pippen tops the list. Don't go anywhere.
Ma'am, yung pumasok ng pandemya talaga sobrang dagok. Talaga grabe yung ginawa sa amin. Tapos sasabihan pa ng sakit ng asawa ko. Ultimo gamot, ma'am. Magkano lang ang gamot? 2, 3. Hindi ko pa mabili. Oh, siguro, pagsubok lang naman to. Hindi naman siguro ibibigay sa akin to kung hindi ko kaya.
Hindi nagsasalita. Naninikip yung dibdib niya. Tapos, pumunta ka na ngayon dito, kuya.
Ano naman? Puro kabiro.
And presence of uniformed personnel to enforce quarantine procedures.
Para kang superhero, Papa.
Isipin may makakain ka lang. Diba? Kaya sabi nila na lalabas ka. Hindi ka ba nihawa sa anak mo paglabas mo? Hindi mo alam kung nakakuha ka na ng sakit. Diba ganun? Ako inisip ko. Kasi naman, hindi ako lumabas. Gutom naman kami.
Para sa isang tatay, napakasarap maramdaman na buong-buo ang tiwala ng iyong pamilya. Nasama-sama niyong malalagpasan at mapagtatagumpayan ang anumang hamon ng buhay. Kahit na mabigat na pagsubok ang pinagdadaanan natin, bagong pag-asa at bagong inspirasyon ang iahatid namin sa inyo.
Pinapangarap niya na mapagamot siya, ma'am. Ito na yung katuparan na para mapagamot siya. Ito na yung katuparan na para mapagamot yung misis ko, Sir Eduardo B. Manalo. Maraming salamat po sa naitulong nyo na ibinigay po sa aking pamilya.
Kaya kung kayo ay may kakilala, kaibigan o kamag-anak na nais niyong lingapin ang aming programa, ipadala niyo sa amin ang kanyang kwento. Ako po si Apple David at ito ang Lingap Stories.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back to EBC Sports International. So Scottie Pippen, one of the greatest NBA small forwards to ever play the game of basketball and also known as Michael Jordan's sidekick, for when they played for the Chicago Bulls back in the 90s or back in the late 80s and 90s. He released a new book called Unguarded, and it's a memoir where Pippen details his life and how he overcame adversity to get to the NBA. He also reveals some saucy information, going as far as calling the GOAT, Michael Jordan, and I quote, hypocritical and I quote, insensitive, as well as stating that Michael, and I quote, couldn't be more condescending if he tried, and I end quote. Jolty, Mr. Controversial, I'm starting with you, man. Is Pippen telling the truth, or is
Listen, I said I'm gonna say I'm gonna say some controversial things tonight, so I might as well start with topic number one, right? Ever since The Last Dance came out, I do not like Michael Jordan as a person. As a player, he's a solid top 2, hashtag Team LeBron. So top 2, probably not number 1. But as a person and a teammate, I've always said, and even on the show while we were, going through Last Dance episodes, he's a bully and he's a horrible teammate. If I was his teammate, yeah, we're winning, great, we're winning titles, but just being around him, he's so, I don't know, he's just like a bag of bad energy. Okay, and most of you on the show, most of the others on the show, rejected that thought that he's not a bad teammate, he's not a bad person, he's just doing what it takes to win, and his teammates love that about him. Well, guess what? Here we go. Scottie is supposed to be his BFF, his right-hand man, and he's basically saying the same things I was saying months ago, a year ago, whenever The Last Dance aired, right? So in an excerpt from his new book, it shows him. So he wrote that he spoke with a number of former teammates after The Last Dance aired, and each of them felt just as respected as Scottie did. And I'm quoting this out of the book. He says, "How dare Michael treat us that way after everything we did for him and his precious brand?" So read into that as you wish, but I think Scottie Pippen is the first person in a long line of people that will be stepping up and speaking out about how they feel about Michael, especially in this new cancel culture we're in. People are going to be coming out of the woodwork to talk negatively about Michael Jordan.
Wow, Mr. Controversial has spoken. Great take, Jolty. EJ, you know, a lot of people, you know, Jolty brought up some great points about, you know, people, you know, not really standing up to Michael Jordan, not speaking out. So how much do you think this is like Scottie Pippen being jealous, or is there like a silver lining of him telling the truth? And also, do you think this book is going to tarnish his legacy?
Okay, so
Scottie
for
Pippen.
the legacy of Scottie Pippen and him tarnishing it, I don't think the book does that. I think he started doing that himself about 4 months ago when he was up with some controversial statements as well. If you guys remember, he had just like released his bourbon line or something, and then he had an interview with a podcaster, and he went and called Phil Jackson, their head coach, a racist. And that was making headlines from Scottie Pippen. And that was just like, oh, where in the world did that come from? And he was talking about one instance where Tony Kukoc was the one taking the last shot of a game or something like that. And I mean, in that sense, I feel like Scottie Pippen was starting to tarnish his own his own legacy as a basketball player, being a little bit, you know, disrespected by coaches, other players, and Tony Kukoc took offense to that quote when he said that, like, I thought we were cool, and then once he heard that, then I was like, okay, well, what's up with Scottie? It seems like he's on a trend now where he just doesn't care what he says, and he's just trying to get the attention in order to sell books. I think that is the point at which you asked Jolty earlier, is that he's trying to sell his bourbon line, his books now. And he's just trying to get as much publicity as he can. And obviously, you know, it's working. We're talking about him right now on the show. As far as his NBA legacy as a champion, I still think that they couldn't have done it without Scottie. I definitely think that he's one of the greatest duos with Michael Jordan and himself. And I don't think that necessarily means that they have to be best friends, right? They don't have to be, you know, cool with each other off the court, but I mean, they have a good chemistry on the court, which led to a lot of success. And that's what we'll always remember as Michael Jordan and for Michael Jordan and Pippen, because at the end of the day, they're NBA players. We know them for their basketball and nothing else other than that. All these books and other publicity stuff is just cherries on top, you know, trying to stay relevant now that, you know, LeBron was, like he said, that Jordan was doing that in order to prove that everybody that, hey, I'm still the greatest, even though you guys are watching LeBron right now. Let me educate you guys on what I did. But I can see why Pippen was saying those type of things, because it was a little one-sided towards Michael Jordan in that last document, that Last Dance documentary. It was very one-sided. So I can understand both sides, but at the end of the day, it doesn't tarnish their NBA legacy, just their personalities. It tarnished Michael Jordan's reflection for Jolty already, and Scottie Pippen is lowering his now.
That was way before Scottie Pippen's quotes. Don't worry.
Right.
Sure. Well, you know, for me, like, if I can say this real quick before I have Ben come in, is you know, I'm a little confused because Jordan has said it numerous times, his Hall of Fame speech, numerous interviews. In The Last Dance itself, he said, without Scottie Pippen, I do not win any of these championships. Mm-hmm. So for Pippen to not even mention that at all, that Michael, you know, basically gave him a lot of the credit for his success. I mean, that makes me a little confused, and I'm kind of leaning towards him just trying to get a little bit more publicity to sell his books. But Ben, do you think MJ? I'm sure MJ's caught wind of this already. Do you think he's going to respond? And if he does, what do you think? Is he going to take the high road, or is he going to attack Mr. Pippen?
Through this, Mike, I don't think Jordan will respond to this book of Scottie Pippen, nor Phil Jackson, who also was a topic in that book as well. Well, the truth is, the documentary made me appreciated both MJ, Scottie Pippen, and the rest of the Bulls during that time. The documentary was made for their last run in their last season run for the championship. But his book and his comments since the documentary have actually made me dislike Scottie Pippen. He's like a bitter old man who doesn't appreciate that he has won in life. And we all know that he has earned more in terms of playing in the NBA rather than Michael Jordan, because Jordan retired after that and he still played several years. It's just that Jordan earned more from his endorsement and in his brand. I think Scottie didn't see what Jordan was trying to say during the documentary when Scottie we all know Scottie sat out during his leg injury and migraine scenario. Jordan needed Scottie but didn't have him there because of his injury. So it forced Jordan to really push and have more pressure to win games for their team. And I think for us, MJ has also been trying to us for many years, and a lot of Bulls fans as well would attest to this, that Scottie is a great player. He's also one of the 50 greatest players of all time. And MJ wouldn't win all this championship without him. The simple fact that remains that the documentary would have done us disservice by not bringing up what really happened. All those scenarios and all of that bad things that happened during their run. And we all know this is one of the greatest documentaries for me. And if it's the greatest documentary of all time, they should never hold back those real incidents that happened during their last run in their season. And we don't hear Rodman complaining about all the ways they portrayed him in that documentary. And because Rodman understands MJ, because he's the undisputed GOAT, and it really drove them to be their best. I would agree with Jolty about MJ being a bully, and that's how great players do. They push their teammates. Kobe Bryant did that, and even LeBron most of the time does that. Now people saying the documentary praised Jordan, but he was accused of gambling, including getting his father killed, and trashed for not speaking about social issues. So I think it doesn't really praise Jordan in that documentary. It's more of the story of the Bulls' last run for a championship. And it touched so many aspects and topics during that documentary from all the players. And this is going to be, for Jordan and Pippen, this is going to be the end of their friendship if they were friends. So I think this is also going to be a bad for Pippen. But on the other hand, if you speak of controversy, if you're selling a book, you talk about controversy. And this is also one angle that I see in this shenanigans that's happening.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe MJ and Pippen are just, behind closed doors. Or just like, yeah, this is how you sell your book, man. Just raise all this and create a publicity for it. But hey, I appreciate your takes, everybody. We're just going to jump into another NBA topic real quick. We just have a few minutes on this block here. So, this past offseason, there were some new rules implemented, the major one being fouls called on non-basketball moves. So, James Harden, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, they really pride themselves on getting foul calls by doing these non-basketball moves. And they're starting to struggle right now. So EJ, I want to start with you first. I have to get your thoughts. What has this new rule change done to today's game?
No, it makes it a lot better. We talked about this a little bit last week as well. To reiterate some stuff, I think it's a good adjustment that the NBA is making. It doesn't stop the flow of the game anymore, and it's very obvious when the offensive player is the one drawing that foul or initiating the contact. It's an adjustment though for refs and for players. So just as players are adjusting, the refs are also adjusting. So some nights they will swallow their whistle. Some nights I'm pretty sure they won't, because that same night I think last week when we were talking about it, James Harden ended up with 20 free throws that game. So it's like it's all a balance. It's all a balance, and they're all adjusting, but it's a good adjustment that the NBA is making for sure.
Absolutely. And Ben, just to get your quick take here, what do you think the players have to do? Do you think that it's more like mental preparedness for the game? Do you think they should just keep attacking? What do you think the players should do to overcome this new rule change?
Well, for me, Mike, the players just need to adapt and play hard regardless of the physicality of the game. Now, with this new rule, the league is slowly moving to the right direction. Now, it's time to make the rules more like a FIBA centered rules, like a real basketball. And this is, I think, added due to the USA struggles in the Olympics. And we've seen that. No, they've been losing some games during the Olympics because it's a different type of play in the international scene. They need their players to adapt to FIBA basketball condition. And the more games USA loses, it's a bad image for the NBA. I think that's also one of the reasons they're also making this change. And this will also really help the NBA. This will speed up the pace of the game, and it makes the game more exciting, and also limits the players who relied on getting 10 to 15 free throws a game, especially Trae Young and James Harden. And I hate to see those kind of players, just wanted to score in the free throw area. And we need to see more of exciting games in the NBA. So this kind of changes in the rule will really benefit the league as well. And I'm sorry for those players who's going to be affected by this. So they just have to adapt and just play with physicality.
Yes, get back to the 90s, baby. Let's go. Jolty, you had some quick thoughts on the new rule change.
Yeah, I mean, players had to adjust when hand checking was taken out of the game. They had to adjust a few years ago when FIBA added the gather rule, where, you're basically allowed to take an extra step, and the NBA kind of quietly adopted that. But, I think this whole non-basketball move thing is a bit overblown. The stats so far show that only an average of 2.5 less shooting fouls are being called per game. And on the flip side, one more non-shooting foul is called per game. So, with all these guys struggling, I don't think that it's because of this rule that they're struggling. Because and the stats show the fouls are being called, right? So,
yeah, I heard the new basketball, like the new
the Wilson ball,
really affecting their shooting. But real quick before we go on a break, I hope a new rule they bring in. I hope they're able to allow people to scoop the basket or the ball.
Yeah,
off
they
the
need
rim
that.
Like they do in FIBA. That'd be awesome if they put that in
100%.
NBA. But we'll see what happens. But thanks for your takes, everybody. We're going to talk NFL next, so don't go anywhere. EBC Sports International will return in a moment.
I would not consider myself either or neither expert or newbie. In this craft, you're a lifetime student.
Hindi ito tungkol sa away o digmaan. Ito'y tungkol sa hilig at talento na pwede rin pagkakitaan. Ako po si Robin Padilla at ito po ang Unlad. Kagabay sa hanap buhay.
Sa hanap buhay.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is EBC Sports International. Michael Hudson coming at you from Seattle, Washington. So I just wanted to show you guys the current NFL standings. We'll put it up on the screen for you to take a look at. So as you can see, as far as the AFC, we have the Bills up there. We have the Patriots that are not too far behind. I'm just talking about the AFC East here. And then also for the NFC, the Cowboys are still up there at 6-1. We have the Cardinals leading the NFC West at 7-1 since beating the Rams. And then NFC North, we have the Packers at 7-1, and then the Buccaneers leading the NFC South at 6-2. Speaking of the NFC, one of the top NFC teams that that Jolty just spoke about was the Los Angeles Rams during the NFL trade deadline. That was one of the biggest moves, sending Von Miller from the Denver Broncos to the Los Angeles Rams. And he has had the most sacks in an 8-year span and has won a Super Bowl during his tenure with the Denver Broncos. Oh, as much as this pains me being a Seahawks fan, this may put the Rams over the top. Hello, Ken, if you're watching. Ben, we're going to start with you. What does this move mean for the Rams' chances on winning the Super Bowl? And I really hope that you say they're not going to win.
There's gonna be another team who's going to face my Bucks in the final, so I'm happy for the Rams. They're gonna be a legitimate Super Bowl contenders. The minute they traded Matthew Stafford and got Von Miller. Starting 7-1, the Rams cemented their place among the favorites to win the Super Bowl, and especially when they added Von Miller in the trade with the Broncos, it only proved their chances of championship odds. I can see the Rams to be the team to beat aside from the Bucks. My Bucks, right now after adding Miller, they will benefit from this move because he now has a future Hall of Famer playing next to him, Aaron Donald. And the first loss of the Bucks came from the Rams, and the Rams dominated the Bucks in that game. Plus, with the addition of Von Miller, they're going to be scary. The teams, they're the teams to beat this season. On paper, there are a few teams with such firepower and talents as the Rams, between the quarterback's position, pass rush, the offensive line, and Jalen Ramsey at cornerback. The LA is loaded from most of the important spots. And this is a very stacked roster for the Rams. So I think this is a good move from the Rams, and we'll see. They will be an exciting team to watch if they really did go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, as much as I hate to admit it, this is a blockbuster move that's really going to help the Rams, especially because they pride themselves on putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They already do that already with Aaron Donald and Floyd. Those two guys are just absolutely incredible getting to the quarterback. But I am curious to see how they're going to how he is going to coexist with the other players. Jolty, what are your thoughts about Von Miller mixing well with the other defenders? Do you think they're going to be able to build the chemistry right away, or is it going to take time? What are your thoughts on that?
No, you already mentioned one person I was going to bring up, which is Leonard Floyd, the other linebacker. He's leading the team in sacks with 6.5. The Rams are already leading the league with 25 sacks. 12.5 of those are from the linebackers. And you know what? You're asking if they can coexist? Absolutely. So let's get a little bit technical here. When the quarterback on the opposing team goes up to the line, you might hear it on TV. They'll be like, 52's the mic or 58's the mic or whatever. What they're doing there is they're setting blocking assignments for the linemen. They're letting them know which linebacker a certain player is going to block, okay? Aaron Donald is getting double teamed every play. It doesn't matter what the play is. He's too good. He's getting double teamed. Then you got one lineman who's going to, let's say, Leonard Floyd, but you still have 2 or 3 other down linemen plus Von Miller. There's not enough guys to block these guys, right? Von Miller has 4.5 sacks on the season. There's not enough offensive line, unless you're going to play, 6 or 7 offensive linemen every play, which is, you can't do that, right? There's not enough guys to block these guys. So can they coexist? Absolutely. I mean, Aaron Donald has been, like I said, he's been double teamed all season, so he's used to that. That's not going to change. If anything, it might take a guy off of Aaron Donald to block Von Miller if he's blitzing. Let's say they send both Leonard Floyd and Von Miller, which kind of frees up Aaron Donald to get to the quarterback, right? So they're going to be able to coexist. There's enough tackles, there's enough sacks to go around for everyone on this team. This defense is going to be, like, I'm not even talking about the DBs, which are, probably second to none, but just Leonard Floyd and Von Miller at the linebacker spot. That is just already blowing my mind. That this brings me back to like Clay Matthews and AJ Hawk for the Packers a few years ago. Like, that was an unstoppable linebacker core. This has the same thing written all over it.
Man, oh man, scary, scary. EJ, as far as draft capital goes, the Rams have given up a lot the past few years for Matt Stafford, for Jalen Ramsey, and now for Von Miller. Well, how do you think this is going to affect the future of the franchise?
I mean, I don't think they care about the future of the franchise. They're in a win now mindset,
Win now.
Obviously, man. Like, I mean, just again, how much they gave up to get Matt Stafford, where a lot of doubters were actually, like, okay, can this guy get them over to the top? And now look at them, 7-1 right now in the season. Matthew Stafford has looked fantastic. They're looking like geniuses over there in LA. And now to just give up, again, as Jolty mentioned earlier in his report, second and third round pick for former Super Bowl MVP. Again, I mean, he's had many years in the league already, so I guess age is the only thing that might be a downfall for Von Miller. But as far as experience goes, the guy's won an MVP of the Super Bowl. The guy's elite, and he doesn't need to play every snap. A lot of analysts are already predicting that this move wasn't made for the regular season. It's for them to go over the top during the postseason for January and February. So obviously, I'm always a fan of getting a guy who has proven their worth rather than you're pressing your luck on some draft pick. Because how many times have we seen even lottery picks, the beginning of 1 through 30 being busts? You know what I'm saying? So like, you never know what you're gonna get through the lottery, through the draft. I say, spend all that, use them as trade bait, and get the players who already have proven their worth. And Von Miller is one of those players. So yeah, definitely a win now mindset. They're not worried about the future. They're worried about this year, and they believe that they can win it this year.
Absolutely. Great take, EJ. I'll never forget Von Miller in the Super Bowl, what he did to Cam Newton. Oh my. And I mean, the reason why he was able to do that is because they had Shaq Barrett. So imagine what he's going to do with Aaron Donald taking, oh man, it's going to be nasty. I feel
Shaq Barrett is a lot worse than Aaron Donald.
Say that again.
Shaq Barrett is a lot worse than Aaron Donald.
Oh yeah, I know. And and Shaq Barrett is incredible too. So that's saying a lot. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see they play the Titans on Sunday Night Football. So we'll see how that pans out. But staying with the NFL, Week 9 is coming up this week, and we have and one of the biggest stories is what Jolty mentioned earlier. Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers is out against the Kansas City Chiefs due to testing positive for COVID-19. So guys, I just wanted to ask you, what game are you looking forward to seeing the most this coming week? EJ, we'll start with you.
No, it was definitely Green Bay and Kansas City for sure. Green Bay has been red hot, undefeated since week 1, their only loss of the season. And they took down the last undefeated team of the league, I believe last week, right? The Arizona Cardinals. It was a close match, but they were able to take that victory. But now with Aaron Rodgers not being able to be there against the Chiefs, I think it's a crucial game because the Chiefs are trying to find their footing right now over there in the AFC, right? Like, they need these wins. And And the AFC is wide open. I spoke about this last week. It's wide open. NFC, you got LA. You have the Bucks. You have the Packers. You have a lot, and even the Dallas Cowboys and the Cardinals. Dude, it's so much harder to get out of the NFC. But when you talk about the AFC, it's wide open. And I think that the Chiefs are still in it. They're a record of 4-4. Yes, they narrowly defeated the New York Giants last week, 17-20. But if they get their footing, they're still the most dangerous team out there in the AFC. So I think this was an important game to watch. But because Aaron Rodgers is not going to be there, which I think it's crazy. Obviously, Jolty mentioned, a lot of people are saying that he might not be vaccinated. I think it shows. There's proof that he's not vaccinated, because if he were vaccinated, he wouldn't have been listed out as soon as they got the test result, because they only need 4 days to get 2 negative tests, right? That's the rule in the NFL. If you get 2 negative tests within 4 days, you're clear to go. But obviously, because they already listed him out earlier in the week, it just goes to show that, okay, there's really no chance for this guy to play on Sunday because he's not vaccinated. And it looks like the Green Bay Packers are covering it up a lot. And there's a lot of controversy on that side. But I don't know. Aaron Rodgers needs to be disciplined if that really is the case, because he's been walking around without a mask, not following any mandates. So they need to investigate, as the NFL loves to do, investigate on players. I think this is definitely a situation where they do, and it would ruin the momentum that the Packers are having right now.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, for that game, I mean, I'm just so surprised at how far the Kansas City Chiefs have fallen since the Super Bowl. I mean, it's like every team has figured out how to. I mean, they just double Tyreek Hill, they double Kelsey, and they just put pressure on Mahomes and make him throw these off-balance, lucky passes that are just all over the place. So it's incredible. But yeah, you're right. AFC is wide open. Kansas City definitely still has a chance. Jolty, what game are you looking forward to seeing this coming week?
For me, Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns, AFC North matchup. Okay, let's start with the Browns, right? Last week, they lost to the Steelers in what was a crazy game, 15-10, where the Steelers lost their place kicker, their field goal kicker, due to a concussion in the first quarter. So there were no field goals. Everything was 2-point conversion. Wild game. And on top of that, the Browns today, breaking news, just released Odell Beckham Jr., which is a huge, huge deal. But they have historically played a lot better without OBJ. Last season, he was out for, I think, the last 6 or 5 games, plus the playoffs. And Baker Mayfield had a QB rating of 30 points higher than when OBJ was in the game. Okay, so they made the playoffs. They beat the Steelers in the playoffs, lost a heartbreaker to the Chiefs in the second round. Not to mention they have the best running back duo in the league, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And Dearness Johnson is also a great third option in the backfield. The Bengals are 5-3. They lost to the Jets last week, which is, Mike White had an unreal game, which was crazy. They have the rookie of the year so far, right? And Jamar Chase, who has, it was like 203 yards receiving or something last week or the week before. And it's basically Joe Burrow's rookie year do-over because he was injured so early in his rookie year last year. And this is my game of the week because the division is wide open. The Browns are in 4th place at 4-4. Okay. The Bengals are in 3rd at 5-3. And the first place Ravens are at 5-2, which means there's only a 1-game difference between first and last. So this game has huge playoff implications.
Yep. Huge, man. That's going to be exciting. And Ben, what game are you looking forward to for Week 9 NFL?
Well, this is just not so exciting matchup, but I just want to see the Saints lose in this matchup against the Falcons. They defeated the Bucs a few days ago. The Falcons and the Saints will meet for the first time in the season in Week 9, and then again in the final week of the season. I understand that New Orleans has a 6-point home favorite in this one. There's no question about that. I can see that James Winston still in the quarterback, and they have a elite defense. Dominated Atlanta in the Superdome in 2020. I see them beating the Bucks a big margin last time. I want to see if Falcons have a great game against them. It's going to be a close game, and I hope the Saints lose in this matchup. But it's going to be close, and I just want to see them have a great match.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of good matches in store for Week 9. We'll keep you posted on that, but we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be talking more NBA. See you soon.
How do you find that concept or that area where you gusto ko i-innovate ito?
Sometimes it just clicks. Maraming nag-audition. Tapos pinili. Tapos inayos.
When you say inayos, ayusin mo ang face, pagagandahin mo, ipapa-acting mo.
Hindi ako yung ordinary viewer. When I watch something, parang pinoproduce ko siya palagi.
Best work in terms of ratings and profitability. Is there something really that you can say original talaga? No.
Hindi. Nagawa na yan eh. When you talk to me and ask me to contribute concepts for the platform, how is your branding as a network? What is your personality as a network? What do you want to be? Gusto ko yun kasi challenge yun.
All these in this episode of Open for Business.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Michael Hudson with EBC Sports International. So the Miami Heat is turning a lot of heads as they continue to dominate during the first part of the season with impressive wins over the Nets, Mavs, as well as the Hornets. EJ, why are the Heat clicking on all cylinders right now?
Yeah, well, I think one of their cylinders got busted tonight because they lost horrendously against the Boston Celtics, 78-95. And this actually might help my opinion of why I think they're doing so well. And I think it's because of Tyler Hero. Tonight, he was held to just 6 points on 29 minutes of play. But with the games that they won, again, you mentioned the Dallas game, the Brooklyn game, even that they defeated, and even the Bucks. The guys put 27 points up against Milwaukee, who is, I think, is one of the better defensive-minded teams in the league, and he was able to put up 27 off the bench. 30 points against Indiana, 26 points against Charlotte, 22 against Memphis, 25 against Dallas. The reason why they're winning is because Tyler Hero is being a great spark off of the bench, and he's made it known that he's going for Sixth Man of the Year. Tonight, he was held in check with just 6 points, which I think why they lost so badly to the Celtics. But I think that's the reason why Miami has been so successful is because of Tyler Hero's emergence in wanting to prove that he belongs in conversations with like John Morant and others in his draft class.
Definitely. And Ben, so EJ did mention just now that Tyler Hero is one of the biggest reasons why they've been successful. In your opinion, which is there a player or a couple players in particular in the Heat right now that's the reason for their success?
I'm going to include Coach Eric Spoelstra as well in that reason for the Heat's improving this season, because Coach Eric Spoelstra stressed during the training camp the crashing the boards, to unlock some of their transition attacks. Jimmy Butler, two-way supremacy, still carving his status as an MVP contender. We have Kyle Lowry's pace in opening the door for others to absorb more scoring chances. PJ Tucker's defense and burly physique is filling in the gaps as an excellent screener and short roll vehicle. With also Tyler Hero, as mentioned by EJ, is really making great contribution from the bench, shooting 39.5% on 8.3 3-point attempts per 36 minutes. And we have Bam Adebayo, in forefront of their most notable and significant change from a year ago. And we can see that he is becoming dominant in the boards. And I think that's very key in this success of the Heat. We combine them, it's going to be a great thing to see the Heat going back to the finals again. Half-court defense should be their goal, especially this regular season. And I think that's their objective this year. Getting those boards and running the transition and finding the man who's open and making points for the team. I think it's a team effort. Plus, with those changes that they made and that they have learned from last season being swept by the Bucks.
Absolutely. And Jolty, so do you think the Heat have enough to, I mean, it's safe to say that all of us probably think the Nets are going to win the East. Do you think they have enough to dethrone the Nets and then go to the NBA Finals?
Listen, I don't think the Nets are going to win the East, even though they have all that talent. It's so early to make this prediction. We're only 8 or 9 games deep. If the playoffs started today, the Hornets, Bucks, Celtics, and Hawks would all be out of the playoffs. Think about that. Those are some great teams, right? Bucks, especially. Hornets are great. They wouldn't be in the playoffs, right? So it's way too early to say that. I'm going to give you a couple of teams that will be at the top of the East, and Brooklyn is not one of them. I think the Bulls are going to win the East. And my Knicks are going to be up there too. Just, wait on it. Wait a few months.
I'm on that with
someone clip this tape.
Hey, Michael Jordan's not playing.
Winning the East.
Michael Jordan's not playing. Michael Jordan's not there anymore.
Good.
Oh man, that's okay. We'll have this on recording. We'll revisit this in a few months. Man, that is take of the night right there. But hey, I agree with you guys in the sense that with the Heat, they've always been well coached, and I think adding Kyle Lowry is paying huge dividends for them, especially on the defensive end of the floor. And as far as the leadership goes as well, I think they're gelling a lot quicker than what I thought they would gel. So that was a tough loss with Boston, but Boston's always going to play any team pretty tough, and then themselves are kind of in win now mode as well, because they've been having some pretty bad losses, especially that one against the Bulls where they lost I think it was an 18-point lead heading into the fourth quarter, and then the Bulls came back. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Jolty. The Bulls are definitely fun to watch, but as far as winning the East, I do not know about that. But maybe they can give Scottie Pippen a call. He can. But let's take a look at the standings here for the NBA. So as you can see, Utah Jazz leads the overall record at 7-1. They've been playing phenomenal basketball. Golden State, surprisingly, at 6-1. They're leading the Pelicans right now at halftime by 4. And then just to list off a little bit more people here, Chicago is there, top 5, just right in front of Brooklyn. And then last place, Detroit Pistons, Pelicans, and Houston Rockets. That is the bottom 3 there. So we're going to go ahead and head to our last portion of the episode. And of course, we can't close the show without our question of the week. So Phoenix Suns' Chris Paul, their point guard, just earned a number 3 spot in the NBA's all-time assist category. Congrats, CP3. You're the man. So question of the week is, what is the greatest sports record ever? So Ben, we'll start with you.
I think for me, Boston Celtics 8 consecutive championship. One of the great dynasties in sports. I think that's a record that cannot be broken ever again. With Red Auerbach coaching the team back then and making those 8 consecutive championship. It's a record to beat, and I don't think no one can beat that.
Awesome. EJ, how about you, my man?
Yeah, no, Ben's a good take, man. But I think there was 10 people in the league, 10 teams in the league at that time. So not impressive. Obviously, it's not going to happen again. There's so much talent now in the NBA. But I think for me, record, greatest sports record ever has got to be Russell Westbrook's triple-double. I don't think it's highlighted enough. Oscar Robertson played 14 seasons in the NBA, and that got him 181 triple-doubles. Russell Westbrook broke that in 13. And on top of that, he averaged a triple-double for 4 seasons in his career. When I don't think that's ever going to be beaten ever again, 4 times to average a triple-double.
That's incredible. How about you, Jolty?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go back home to Connecticut. The UConn women's basketball team from 2014 to 2017, they won 111 straight games. And get this, they beat the previous record of 90 straight games, which was also held by UConn. And that team beat the previous record of 70, which was also held by UConn. All of these teams coached by the legendary Gino Auriemma, greatest college coach of all time, men's or women's.
Yeah, amazing. Very impressive record. For me, I'm going to have to go with Tom Brady's recently record, the 600 touchdowns. I mean, that's just something that's not, I don't think anybody's even going to be remotely close to that. I mean, with the added 17th game, maybe if, someone stays healthy, but that's just, I feel like that's just going to be an untouchable record. But all the records you guys mentioned, absolutely incredible. I mean, that's the reason why we love sports, right? Is to be able to see history like that. So with that being said, that's all the time we have for this week's episode. On behalf of everybody on our panel, thank you so much for joining us. And be sure to tune in again next week, and make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com, as well as net25.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Eagle News PH to join the conversation. For EBC Sports International, I'm Michael Hudson. We live in interesting times.